especially those leering types who seem to wear nothing but an armored bikini. There's also some sort of a snake lizard beast slithering around her abdomen, chest, shoulder region. It's symbolic of vice and sin. The display rack before you is burdened under piles of Man from Hjelmdal novels.
It is a bestseller for a reason. Oh, Man from Hjelmdal. A very popular series of adventure novels. They're awfully immoral and violent books. Blood and violence, scantily clad women, epic narratives, all those mystical things he encounters. They're bound to grab those with little imagination and nothing to do. What does it matter? They're all the same. However, the customer is always right, they say. If you're a novice of the series, I'd recommend Hjelmdalaman, the Man from Hjelmdal. It's supposed to be a good introduction to the series. Hello again, esteemed officer, and welcome to Crime, Romance, and Biographies of Famous People.
A heavy door with a missing handle stands before you, covered in dozens, if not hundreds, of Seminese trinkets and charms. It appears to be locked. Only an echo. No one is there. Shelves full of biographies of famous people, whoever they are.
I would say... The Greatest Innocence. Yes, most certainly. It's an important educational tool, delving into the depths of history, religion, and their relation to innocentic power.
Shelves full of biographies of famous people, whoever they are. Several maps have been attached to a bulletin board hidden inside the alcove. They're held up by small pins. The board has come loose from one corner. The maps look old and faded. Your eye catches a map of Insulinda, a map of Revachol, and a map of Mart. This bookstore is not strictly about crime, romance, and bio...
Sir, please, no browsing in that shelf. That wisdom is not for free. I can't have you end up, like, opening a police store next door and stealing my customers. Oh, no.
Amidst the various books, you find one written by someone named Matthias W. Dundas. It's about wholeness, unity, balance. The point of the book, and many others on this shelf, is to give people medicinal advice in situations where they don't have access to paid health services. Various paranatural books still litter the shelf.
Hi, Ace Detective. Are you here for more books?
The edges of the pages are worn and smudged. A lot of people have read about the Devil Woman's altercations with the Hjelmdal man. The jacket copy proclaims, "Man from Heimdall returns in his most exciting adventure yet. After crashing into a strange jungle, cannibalistic natives abduct his only surviving comrade, noble Tiribold. Before Man from Heimdall can mount a rescue, he is ambushed by a tribe of female warriors and taken to the ancient citadel of Cloud City, where a mysterious and wicked queen rules supreme. Will Man from Heimdall be able to escape his dire situation and find his missing friend?" You open the book to a random page. Man from Heimdall, wielding his two Zweihanders, is carving through a sea of savages, his visage fixed in grim determination. His arms, whirling like windmills, are soaked with the blood of his enemies. Mangled corpses litter the battlefield. You flip to the copyright page. This book was written in 38. Berserker rage burns in his azure-hued eyes as he brings glory and honor to his long-lost Heimdalla tribe. From the village of Heimdall, the ivory giant roars like an ice bear, and the winds of Gatla howl out his name. Man from Heimdall rides on a gilded griffin, his golden mane billowing in the breeze. Both Zweihanders sheathed on his back. He is off to war. Will he conquer his enemies? Will he conquer himself? The steel muscles of Man from Heimdall gleam in the humid jungle air. Yet the man does not sweat. In meditation, his soul drifts in the frigid northlands he calls home. A passage reads, "The man from Heimdall looks up, his eyes blue as the mountain lakes of his homeland. He rarely speaks, but now his voice booms in the darkened throne room. Do not try to sap my masculine essence, wicked temptress. Son of Heimdall will never succumb to your seductive wiles. Thine spells are no match for purity and strength of will. Brothers of Heimdall, stand above the vices of flesh, for it is weak and corruptible, yet mine is forged in gore and strife." Queen Lydiana just laughs, a sultry and salacious sound, then says, "I have grand plans for you, Man from Heimdall." She gestures her diabolical hand toward an array of potions and unguents. "First, you shall please me. Then lead my armies against the vicious cannibals. Not a muscle moves in the face of the Man from Heimdall. Yet inside, there is turmoil. This goes against all he holds sacrosanct." In the final pages, Man from Heimdall mounts Gallivaren, his mighty griffin, and turns his gaze to the horizon. Queen Lydiana is dead, but an army of cannibals is storming the gates, and still there's no word of trusty Tiribold. To find out what happens next, you'll have to pick up Man from Heimdall and the Three-Eyed Skull, available in fine bookstores everywhere. Spring 39. A crinkled chewing gum wrapper. The worn label reads, "Tutti Frutti." It smells faintly of apricots, with a barely noticeable twinge of cinnamon. You feel compelled to point out that there's nothing fruity about cinnamon. It's a spice derived from tree bark. Can a used wrapper shrug? Seems like that's what the wrapper is doing somehow. This is not about flowers or bark. What is this about? Why are you looking at this wrapper? You carefully fold the wrapper into a square before putting it back into your pocket, lovingly even, despite the strange feeling of regret. An intricate web of blue lines stretches across the torso. It still kind of looks like a map of the stars. The face of King Fleecel smiles at you. For some reason, the smile now strikes you as more forced than it did before. It takes a moment, but gradually it dawns on you that Kunst und Kultur must mean arts and culture. As you leaf through this section, you come across several reviews of recent radio plays, as well as a brief artist spotlight featuring a local artist identified only as CS. The main feature, though, is a long essay titled Tip Top Tournée, a critical Mazovian perspective. This so-called artist spotlight is really just a brief Q&A, made all the briefer by the subject's evident hostility to her interviewer. That certainly sounds like a certain delinquent youth who likes to harass you from her balcony. The actual article is surprisingly light on details, but after skimming a page or two, you gather that it has something to do with motor carriage racing. If you don't follow it, you only ever hear about the ludicrous sponsorships and obscene death toll. You think you're settling in for a relaxing recap of the most recent season, maybe sprinkled with some nice anecdotes about a few of the more colorful drivers. Instead, you find yourself skimming a 10,000-word feature about all the politically problematic aspects of Tip Top Tournée. Where to even start? For one, there's the crass commercialism of its sponsorships, and then there's the practically criminal emphasis on deadly motor crashes. And that precisely is what's problematic about it. Were it not for the promise of random, spectacular violence, audiences would quickly lose interest. At the end of the day, it's the destruction of these 750,000 real races that you're really watching for. You see, one cannot avoid the conclusion that Tip Top Tournée is simply the apotheosis of spectacular entertainment under capitalism.
Ah, come on. Can this article read your mind? Well, there you have it. No reason to get hung up on the pretentious ramblings of a few young men. If I had to wager, I'd say they've never even seen the inside of a motor, much less a motor race. I take whatever they write with a large grain of salt.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you. Comrade, as you know, this journal takes its name from Mazov's immortal expression, du cristal à la fumée. This was his way of describing the way the rigid, crystalline structures of capitalist ideology turn to smoke under communism. But, like the structures of capitalist ideology, we too are at risk of going à la fumée. Unlike many publications which are content to spoon-feed their readers reassuring drivel, La Fumée is committed to telling the radical truth, even when that truth may drive away potential subscribers. Perhaps they've overestimated the market demand for this kind of commentary. So please, if you value our radical Mazovian perspective on contemporary politics, culture, and international affairs, please consider subscribing today. Yours in struggle, the editors.
What do you expect? It was laying around the office of the Debarders Union. They're probably bankrolling the thing.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you. The face of this section includes a long, tedious critique of the latest round of free trade negotiations between the EPIS nations and the Free State of Semenine. You also skip over an article about heavy fuel oil smuggling along the Messina border, something about bear wrestling in Samara, book riots in Yugograd. Face it, You really aren't interested in foreign affairs. You're not even sure where most of these countries are. You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you. The worn map features the patchwork grid of the streets of Martinaise, with directions to appropriately touristy locations. Year 48 resides on the upper right corner. Your finger moves through the various streets, across Rue de Saint-Ghislain and Rue Saint-Cypar, over Saint-Brun and Martinaise North, finally coming to a halt on the spot where you are currently standing, although the map gives no such indication itself.
For a more detailed view of the map, go to your journal and select the Map tab.
A cockatoo is a parrot with an erectile crest, found on the Seminine Islands and in southern Fas-à-la-Mer. Known for their intelligence and general precociousness, cockatoos are popular birds in aviculture. However, they often exhibit various behavioral issues. This book talks about the delicate nature of toos, as well as introducing some of the most popular species among the bird enthusiasts. The funeral cockatoo, the major majestic cockatoo, and the most common bang-bang cockatoo. It's colorfully illustrated. Where to even begin? All cockatoos are known for their needy natures, requiring attention for at least 2 full hours a day. They love to talk and have been described as lovable clowns who just don't know how to wrap up. Pet owners also report moodiness, loudness, and hostility as recurring issues. If left unsatisfied, cockatoos may scream non-stop, pluck their feathers, or become aggressive. It is not recommended to get a cockatoo if you're not able to cook them food every day and give them the full care that they need. These birds will never understand that you have a life of your own. You're right. Cockatoos are magnificent creatures. They love to perform, cuddle and show off, and will even scream for fun, often as loud as up to 135 decibels. This is a yellow-tailed black cockatoo. Its specific name, Psittacus venereus, relates to its dark and somber plumage. This bird looks as if dressed for a funeral, 24/7. There is something indisputably ominous about it. Perhaps the most impressive of all the species, the endangered major majestic cockatoo, is often described as the most flamboyant bird in the jungle. Its pink-colored wings and flowing crest embellishing its proud and bumptious nature. In the words of poet-explorer Sir James Fournier, few birds more enliven the monotonous hues of the verdant forest than this big, bold, and beautiful species. Despite its banging name, the bang-bang cockatoo is actually the shyest of the species, common in almost all Cevenese forests, as well as zoos and homes all over the world. Its plumage is mainly grey and white. The Cevenese name, bang-bang, is thought to be of onomatopoeic origins. Yes, but all those cockatoo species are so different. Which one are you? You're a fuckatoo embodied. This sorry-ass bird belongs on your heraldry. It probably doesn't even have feathers and only screams. Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? Just a moment, officer.
10-4, come in, officer. Roger that, 10-10, over.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? Not yet, but I was able to convince the database people to share private sector information. They promised to get back to me by tomorrow morning. Do you have any other questions? 57.
In the cabin, you see a set of steering.
Have you come to make your offering to Cuno? Cuno doesn't fucking read. Fucking book shit. Fucks with your mind. Cuno knows this four-eyed fuck. Totally hooked on the book. Can't get enough of this shit. Fucking sad, really. Cuno could make mad money off him. Exploit his disease.
Who are you talking about, Cuno?
A guy Cuno knows. Martin. From out of town. From Grad or some shit. Fine. Cuno's gonna take it off your fat ass. At least he's gonna make some paper off this shit. Now what you want? So? North Jamrock. Cuno meant everything north of 881. The rooster fucked Cuno's words up. Cuno doesn't do south. Doesn't fuck with the madre.
Cuno sent your fat ass running around like jello.
Look, pig. Cuno sent you to rough some people up. Cuno played you. That happened. Now you and Kuno should move on. What is this? Trying to be cool with your new asshole? Kuno was just being nice to you. You got fucked bad. Now limp the fuck out of here. After this shit, you better have something real interesting to say if you want to stay in Kuno's face.
Yeah, real interesting.
Kuno doesn't fucking care.
The man before you is naked, but for a pair of underpants and white boots. His skin is marbled. The man ponders his cooking utensils and gives you a little nod, acknowledging your presence. The mention of mañana gets his attention. He smiles and delivers a whole slew of unfamiliar words and lively gestures. Then he falls silent again. They're friends? The man says a couple of sentences in that strange language of his, and then seems to wait for you to speak.
Boars need more vodka?
Okay, so it's vodka that keeps the men happy and in good spirits. Clever move by the Union.
Vodka borscht! I love it, Bratan! Turn it the fuck up and then ask for some yourself.
Turning it up seems like a dangerous idea, honestly. The place is a powder keg. He smiles, nodding vigorously, then pours half a bottle of vodka into the pot. With a whistle, he stirs the brew. He smiles and nods enthusiastically, and, chattering away in his language, ladles some brew into a small thermal cup, then hands it to you. He looks up at you, then looks away quickly. Shrugging is an international sign for, no, I don't know what's behind that door. You see a heavy steel door with a prominent The door does not, but the old cobalt paint.
Can I help you? Got the 20 real? Then why are you wasting...
The shine on these sunglasses lasts a lifetime, officer. The shine on these sunglasses lasts...
Bastards! We have a right to work! Hold up and stay frosty, everyone. Cops are here.
You here to fuck with us? Beat the honest worker down.
We're here to fight for a cause. Stripes usually have problems with people who have causes. Good. We're fighting for a cause here. Right to work! Right to work!
Besides, we're not that different. It helps if people see us talking, cops and strikebreakers together. Shows authorities are on our side. Builds Maybe you should ask them the questions, like why we're not allowed to make a living here.
Shame on you!
We have families to feed, you piece of shit.
So do we, Scott.
We were promised work. We'd be in there, working, if the bastards hadn't shut the gates. Main gate's locked. Would take heavy ordnance to bust it open. Could try to get in through the secretary's office. Door's locked. The guard's blocking the way to the access panel. And I don't mean the scrawny mess punk either. I mean head measurer. Or whatever he is. Why don't you go arrest them instead? I'm sure they've done plenty of criminal shit. They have that look.
It would be better for the neighborhood if you went home. At least for now. If you can't get in anyway.
No! They will give up eventually. Or get drunk. Leave the button unguarded. Then we charge. Honest men and women with rights to work, to be useful. Not toys for corporate interests. We came here to help the harbor run smoothly in time of crisis. If union fucks don't want work, they ought to let in those who do want work.
I have a question. Why do all these men follow your leadership?
You think they follow because I'm big and loud? No. They follow the rules of the market, the rules of the economy, because they were given a job to do! When a bunch of ungrateful, lazy cockroach beats me,
There's something odd in the way he carries himself. His set of clothing looks vaguely mismatched. The different pieces of the attire seem ill-fitting. His shirt is far too small and an unpleasantly tight fit, while the overalls, held up by a belt, seem to fit a man with much more corpulence. He ignores your question, choosing instead to turn to the emaciated workers, raising both fists in the air. The clothes are obviously not his. Silence is the answer. There's something off here, but he won't say what. You've been talking to him for quite a while now. Something is off with this guy. Ask him where he's from.
What's it to you? Big mess, caused by union greed. But I only fight for the rights of people. We're all workers, right? Workers stick together. Came from the eminent domain, in Jamrock. Backgrounds in odd jobs, heavy lifting, cargo hauling, bouncer work. I know the drill. Worked at Territorial. Ring a bell? Uh-huh. It was a long time ago. When a bunch of beats me.
There's something. His shirt is... He ignores your... Silence is the answer.
Nobody betrayed.
Yeah, Measurehead. His body totally betrays his degeneracy.
That is precisely the negligence that has led you to succumb to all. You reek of it. An invisible sword of Al Ghul emerges from your throat. You cannot see. No, you don't. You need to get another drink. Occidental Haplogroup B4 is done giving orders around here. The influence of the begging for help, attempting, you gave the world, you dominate, you will be superseded.
It is, baby, yeah. You know it.
Enough with this begging. You should leave the stage or bring your troops to the Simenine Islands and to Boogie Street. The walls will be lined with bottles of Al Ghul, your beloved beverage. Inside, we will store the odes to homosexuality you call art, and your microcephalic skulls.
Ask what kind of races there are first. Classification is core to this stuff.
Do you?
The lieutenant looks toward the harbor's electronic door, and then to you.
You are obviously a liberal. There are 3 categories. I knew you.
Yeah, I mean...
Yes, it would seem.
Type B to an entre pinkness, the koiko, revachot.
Is it 82,000 years that we've been recording history? You have very little idea of what is happening, but that seems a little off.
The revolution came. The revolution. Enough of Tibet, Medi. Those I received. You know them by the names of them. The mound are
colorful tassels are.
The Vespertine, the other large overproduction of sebum, as proven by the mound and the mask. The Areopagita, the latter.
Nature was not capable of more.
Tips, the F are a museum of failed chimeric experiments. And Trat Lesser, the mosquito.
It seems unlikely that 2 human beings produce genetically sterile offspring.
You are right. Then there is the Semino. That is understandable. You understand nothing. To solve the great race enigma, you have to first ask yourself, what is the race enigma? You have not even worded the mystery, let alone solved it. You need to internalize what you have heard here today, then return to me. This clarity, I cannot possibly imagine what else we have to discuss. There is nothing funky about that. I cannot possibly imagine.
He does not so much as glance at the object.
Stop showing me your pathetic cup. I am the heart. Now leave me be. The unpromising race pupil, Rassi. I am not like them. I am craniometric perfection. Your silence betrays your...
This is the night watchman's booth. The chair is not as austere as the stale air floods through your... The drawers are empty, save for old timesheets and you take the painkillers. They are yours now. Oh boy, where to start? Maybe this was a... You stand and exit the booth. The payphone hangs mute. The file cabinet stands steady as ever. Slide in the drawer, slide.
Yes?
You pick over what's left of your frontal cortex, but no compelling explanations. The dented yellow mailbox greets you with its graffito and bullet holes in the front. This coin-operated viewer is faced. This coin up. Why place a tourist attraction in the middle of such poverty? Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to see here. Yeah. Why?
Why must we stop to look at this wall every time we pass by? We have...
This door has been closed with a padlock. A chalk-drawn number on the board says, number 11. No reply. It's a solid lump of metal, but the shackle is deeply corroded. A solid pair of chain cutters would make short work of it. Better whip out those cutters. You won't get very far otherwise. What are you doing? You need to get your tools out, man. This door has been closed. No reply. It's a solid lump of metal, but the shackle...
You seem committed to it, so go on.
The shackle snaps like a twig, and the lock falls to the floor with a little thud. It should be possible to enter now.
After you, detective.
A plaster cast bust depicts a middle-aged man with impressive sideburns. The name on the plinth reads Kraz Marzov.
The White Star, the photos on the wall. I think we have broken into the apartment of a young communard. How fitting. He's known as the father of scientific communism, also known as Masovianism. His theories about economic history greatly influenced, some would even say sparked, the anti-centennial revolution. I suspect that's exactly what they are trying to do. There aren't many communists around, not after the revolution. Some youth still keep the ideology going, it seems. Whoever lives here definitely shares. There aren't many communists around.
A plaster cast bust depicts a middle-aged man with impressive sideburns. The name on the plinth. You hear someone walking around inside, rearranging the furniture. The number on the panel says, a poor communard from the looks of it. The room is barely bigger than a closet.
Do I have to open the door? Do you have a warrant? I'm not obligated to open the door if you don't have a warrant.
Let's go. We don't have a reason to get inside that apartment.
It's generally easier to do things if you have literally any reason.
Give me a moment.
What happened here? Put your emotions aside. Try to focus on abstract, impersonal things. But this reeks of sadness. It will still be accessible through the apartment next to it. That one didn't have a door. Sadly, nothing of great value remains here. Indeed.
Hello again, officers. Have you come to admire my mural? What do I care about some fucking tin eggshells? Ugh, alright, sad piggy. I'll give you this one. I saw a little girl in the fishing village running around with military-grade handwear. Look cute as hell. If you haven't been there, the village is a shithole down the coast from the main plaza. Have a good time! No. That's all the snitching Cindy the Skull does for today. Actually, I don't even know why I told you what I just told you. I have a weakness for animals. It's the animal thing again. Damn it.
Or a weakness for police officers, miss. Thank you either way.
Can't you tell? I'm painting a beautiful mural, an aereo graffitio visible from low orbit. I haven't really started it yet. I'm waiting for the right words. Yeah? Thanks. I'm sure the inspiration will come to me now that I have an official RCM.
You've lessened her desire to deface the building.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? It's quite straightforward. Someone is using Terminal B to smuggle raw ingredients from the Samaran Isla into Revachol with the Union's blessing. Wild Pines has suspected it for years.
Ingredients for what, ma'am?
Meth and dextroamphetamine, GBL, and various synthetic psychedelics. Honestly, it might be quicker to say what you can't make from the stuff. Yes. After they clear the terminal, we lose track. The actual production is taking place at various sites in and around Jamrock Quarter, north of here.
Wildpine seems to be well apprised of the local drug trade, ma'am. Do you mean to say the Union also produces the product? Sells drugs, I mean?
We're in logistics. It's our business to know. And no. As far as the company knows, the Union does not produce it. They transport the ingredients for a cut. Yes, but you won't get anything out of Evrat and the Dockworkers Union. Still, every chain has its weak link.
The handoff. The motor lorries at the roundabout.
Precisely. Someone needs to move the ingredients from the harbour into the city. Once they reach Jamrock, they're distributed to a network of local manufacturers well beyond our grasp. But in transit, they're vulnerable. Perhaps you've noticed that a number of lorries are tangled in a traffic jam at the roundabout just now. Interview the drivers who are still hanging about. One of them might be waiting for a crucial shipment. I'll be explicit. If you find this driver, I will share company secrets with you. We did, on more than one occasion. Apparently, there's some sort of inter-precinct disagreement about whose jurisdiction this area falls under.
We know the company has launched its own probe into the Union's alleged involvement. We also know it's come up empty. It's not just the RCM. No one's been able to find any hard evidence.
Well, here's your chance, officers. No. We asked East Motor Track to raise the drawbridge. The road company is a partner of one of our subsidiaries. However, this is a limited time opportunity. Once the complaint has been processed by the Trade Committee, they'll have no choice but to lower the drawbridge, and the operation will continue. Thousands of litres of raw ingredients will pour onto the streets of Revachol. Not the east across the river, but the west. The vulnerable. The weary.
Well, at least this solves one mystery.
What is that, Lieutenant?
Why I had to call East Motor Track and beg them to open a drawbridge for me. I'd wondered since I first drove in, on my motor carriage.
I am sorry for the inconvenience, Lieutenant Kisaragi, but we need them trapped here. This is a unique opportunity. I'm sure you understand. How do you think they're financing this strike? There are thousands of unpaid dock workers going strong for the 4th month straight.
There was a shakedown of local businesses preceding the strike. Many were squeezed to bankruptcy to fund it.
With all due respect to these desert cacti, the contents of a few cash registers cannot provide for 2,000 men. The local businesses can scarcely provide for themselves. Precisely. Smuggled out of that very gate at night, most likely, then loaded onto lorries and driven to Jamrock. You simply need to find one driver. The two might even be connected.
Or not. Though, if you have evidence to the contrary, I'm eager to hear it.
As eager as I am to share it, Lieutenant, once the job is done. Yes? Excellent. According to my reports, there are at least 3 lorry drivers lingering near the roundabout. Hopefully one of them will know something. It may come to nothing, or it may just blow the case wide open. I can keep the drawbridge up for a few more days at least. You should have the time you need. In the meantime, let me know if there's any other way I may be of assistance. Why, yes I am. Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around? I mean, we are on Le Caillou, are we not? We are, and the city of Revachol is on the island of Le Caillou. I haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Capri Kenema motor carriage either.
Actually, that motor carriage has been specially issued to serve as a patrol and pursuit vehicle. It's for crossing long distances in the greater Revachol industrial harbor. It's not a toy.
Neither is this. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances in the Bay of Revachol. Between the boat? No. It is called Cor de Laity 19, because that's the type of sloop it is.
The word "it" feels strange. Such a beautiful boat deserves a proper name. A breeze ripples through the sails and tugs at your hair. Below, the sleek, fish-like shape of the hull parts the water. Beneath that, a resounding darkness. You're reminded of something. Or someone.
Okay. How about Cor de Laity 19? Why? Because it was manufactured in Revachol East by a company called Cor de Laity, and its hull is 19 paces long. Why Dolores? Well, it means nothing to me. I think I'll stick with the factory name. But thank you for the suggestion. It's a pleasure craft. A 19-pacer. It also happens to be rated for Category 1 racing. Though these days I mainly use it for business. My sloop? I like it a lot. It's the eel's hips, baby.
I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating.
I really do, the lieutenant thinks. Is she thrown off yet? He's looking at the woman, assessing her.
Officer, I assure you I'm a highly qualified pleasure craft operator.
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull as she smiles. Her nonchalance might be related to something called the Wayfarer Act, a law that says she doesn't need a license. Sly Fox, you're not aggressive enough to harass her further on this.
Good. What we do. I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole. It's a giant undertaking. The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. See those airships there, blinking? Those are the shipping side of things. And that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms. I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year, the company booked more than 20 billion real in revenue.
A billion?
$20 billion is a large number, but the conglomerate employs 72,000 people. They all need to be paid. Then there are capital improvements, interest payments. A conglomerate the size of the Wild Pines is like a shark. If it stops moving, it will die. Then what becomes of those 72,000 families? It's a tremendous responsibility. They started as an exploration and cargo fleet conducting trade between the Samaran and Insulindian Isolas 250 years ago, when Pine ships explored the South Seminese and charted Lomantang on behalf of the suzerain. Centuries of care, deliberation, and madness have gone into this endeavor. Vessels pass through the great unrest to re-emerge with 8 You mean aside from being the terminal's legal owners? Who are responsible for moving 8% of the world's cargo? We built this district. All the best parts of it. Rue de Saint-Ghislain, with its bastions. The plazas Meteor and Mosaic. Even some of the old street lamps have been put back thanks to the investments from the WP. Before Martinez was swallowed by the industrial harbour, even before it was part of Revachol, long before Terminal B was erected here, the Pines built it as a resort for its Revacholian employees. A company getaway, for a weekend or a summer holiday. Then came the revolution. But that's another matter. I'm here to make sure the Pines can fulfill their responsibilities to the place they built.
With your help, hopefully, says her warm tone.
That's the man who was killed. I'm afraid this is a discussion for once we've cleared the lynching question. Better not tie the fourth day to the bat's day on this. I hope there is something else I can help you with.
She wants to answer the question. Protocol keeps her from it.
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets. First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade and Aliments. That gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus. Good luck is only kept in place by the vested interests of half the civilized world, including your own.
What the ma'am means is that the Emergencies Act and the RCM both get their authority from the coalition government.
You'd be shooting yourself in the foot, in other words.
But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike. I believe the official title is Senior Labor Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place. Now they won't even let me into the harbour. There's a 2-meter-20 racist behemoth blocking the gates. Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM.
But the strike began in December.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike?
Heavens, no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive. Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first. Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood.
If you were to prick it with something sharp, you could see it oozing out. A knife, maybe? No, a rapier.
He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar. Yes, Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over. It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues. The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that. Organised labour at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say?
A mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, I suspect we'll be forced to cooperate with them.
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Evrart and his brother. And your opinion, Detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is... Of course, officer. Of course. How else can I... This... reality? No, but please. A little context. We're not in such a hurry. Ah, yes. The episode. Sounds like an acute case of encephalopathy, now that I think of it.
Don't be phased, madame. He functions perfectly well. He only needs a lowdown on all of reality.
We may be here a while, then. Ask away, officer. I'll help however I can.
All right, we're in. I know these all look good, but begin with the first, okay?
We're in Martinez, baby. A casual term of endearment popular among the 50-plus crowd. It's a disco holdover, pay it no heed. Aren't we all?
She refers to your corresponding ages.
Martinez is a district of Revachol. A very small district tucked away near the industrial harbour, north of the 881 and Jamrock. You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten, even. Shelled to smithereens during the Revolution. I'm not a good ambassador. I've only been here once before, as a teenager. Not a lot has changed. There are ruins, a terminal, fishing boats, reeds, boys with boxy shoulders. As I told you, Martinez used to be a province, a workers' resort before the city swallowed it and the artillery did its part. Now the reeds are the real star of the show here. It's not really a sea, it's the Bay of Revachol. And the bay feeds into the ocean. Yes, we're on an island in an ocean, the world's largest body of water, the Insulindic.
Vast, lukewarm and unknowable, flowing in and out of sight.
I would be happy to. What is a preposterously expensive education for, if not sharing?
It remains a mystery what you mean by this something close. This isn't about you. It's about reality. A strange coldness comes over you as you look at the world. The waves sway the sloop slowly.
A bird? A sphenicid? A flightless bird of the polar regions? Of course you're not, my dear. I'm just terrible at guessing games. Ah. This is the pier of Rue des Ortu. A pre-revolutionary tenement. This one used to be 8, mostly the urban middle... Splat, splat. Wonderful. The girl in the old lady rags? Looks like a sullen and rebellious member of a teen infraculture. Yes, you and I belong to the supraculture. We're common, the herd. She prefers a fantasy world. An infraculture with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There is no refuge from the supraculture. I can't. That's how simple it is. One may dye their hair green and wear their grandma's coat, all they want. Capital has the ability to All right. What next? Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Anything? Of course, detect.
What's this? We're getting reports of normal, reasonable, temperate political opinions somewhere in Martinez. It's also about that, but it's also more. Perhaps it's the hangover. Perhaps it's a temporary surge of serotonin. But something tells you it's time to become a citizen of the Kingdom of Conscience. I knew we could trust you. Remember, real democracy is just around the corner for Revachol. When that real democracy kicks in, we are all going to be so much happier.